My name is Mark McAuliffe, and I'm the account manager for the U.S. market here in Portland, Oregon. Last month, we reviewed the basics of barcoding, which was a great precursor to this webinar that will be covering riteSCAN and advanced cycle counting and how these two solutions integrate well with each other. So, okay, hold tight. There we go. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping here. At the top left of your screen, you'll find the settings for audio should you need to change them. And you'll see the Q&A button up there at the top. So during the presentation, feel free to click the Q&A button, send in your questions, and we'll answer all of them at the end of the presentation, okay? So today our presenters are going to be Ryan Winnecke from RiteSoft and Sylvia Cannon from Phoenix Systems. Ryan is an implementation and support specialist at RiteSoft, who's the developer of riteSCAN that you'll see today. Sylvia is one of our senior business solutions consultants for Phoenix Systems and has years of CISPRO experience as well as MRP. So today you will see riteSCAN, how riteSCAN seamlessly extends the power of CISPRO to the warehouse floor in real time with smart built-in functions that help you streamline operations, reduce errors, and achieve greater inventory control. We will also be covering what's new with riteSCAN, including their new pallet tracking module. You will also see how advanced cycle counting is essential for effective inventory management as it maintains inventory accuracy at high levels throughout the year. There are also two new enhancements to the advanced cycle counting module that we want to make sure that you're aware of. The first one is the ability to handle supersession dates. The second one is the addition of unit cost table capabilities. These will not be covered in the presentation today, but you'll be hearing more about those in the future. So that said, I'm going to pass it over to Sylvia. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mark. As Mark mentioned, there was a barcode scanning webinar about a month ago, but about a year ago, we did a webinar on CISPRO stock take and the advanced cycle counting. There is a link to that, so if you'd like to watch that, you can get that information from Mark or your account manager. Today we're going to focus on riteSCAN and how it fits in with the advanced cycle counting module. There's a whole host of benefits for using the advanced cycle count. Today I want to focus just on a few of those. So it shows that all items are counted appropriately, and this is based on your settings. In other words, how often you want to count your A, B, and C items, and even your D items, and also on your ABC classification. So for example, A items are counted more frequently than C and D items. Cycle counting is more efficient, and you get much better accuracy. Another thing is never underestimate the benefit of having dedicated people doing your cycle counting, because they understand your product, they get trained on the cycle count process, and they know where the pitfalls are, and they understand the bin locations and so forth. This is way better than trying to pull people in once a year to help with the stock take when they don't understand the product, they don't know where to find things, and they can get things mixed up. And then also it takes a lot longer, and it may even cause you to shut down for a while you're trying to complete your full-on stock take. The history and trend analysis helps you to identify problem areas, and items that are consistently inaccurate can be put into a special group or a special control group that can be counted at more regular intervals. And this is fairly easy to set up for your advanced cycle counting. Accuracy in inventory also helps you to reduce your inventory, and that in turn reduces your financial commitment. And then the funds that become available can be used to make improvements in other areas, or also for R&D. Okay, so what is the process? It's fairly straightforward to understand where riteSCAN fits in. So the very first thing you would do is in the advanced cycle count is you would run your cycle count selection, print any documents or cards or whatever else you might need to print. And that's when riteSCAN takes over. So the person doing the count can go and just scan in the bin location and the stock code that's being counted. And if items are serialized, they can scan in the serial numbers as well. Once that's been done and everything's been counted, you can go back into your cycle count and review your counts, make sure that everything is accurate and you're happy with them, and then you can accept your count.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about how does that work with riteSCAN. With riteSCAN, you can really go from a labor-intensive process of inaccurate manual counts of data entry that you're having to manually go enter all of that data into your stock take. And really what it does is we're adding quick barcode scans that capture your cycle count data and then send that information directly to SysPro immediately when the transaction occurs. So riteSCAN is using the SysPro E.net business objects to connect with that and provide truly a seamless integration between the two systems. You no longer have to wait for data to be manually entered into SysPro. I'm sure you all know that fact of how long it takes to go in after the fact, after things have been counted, and then somebody has to manually enter that data into the system as well. When your warehouse workers perform the cycle count, the data is captured at the same time in SysPro as soon as they count the transaction. So really what this is resulting in is a more efficient, accurate cycle count process that's done in real time.
Okay, here you can, this is where you take your cycle count selection. And as you can see, you can do a regular cycle count or an on-demand. The on-demand means that you go to select one of the special groups that needs to be counted more regularly for your items that are problem items, or for items that for whatever reason may need to be tracked more regularly and focused on. It's very easy to, to run the selection. You just select your warehouse and your cycle count number and run. This invokes the stock take selection. And then once you've got that done, you can print any documents you need or any barcode labels, whatever you need to do. And then you can continue from there. The new stock take captured by stock code screen in SysPro 7 makes it much easier to do your stock take, because you can make your selections, for example, by stock code range or by product class, and then start the review. And the items will show up on your screen. And of course, you can move your columns around as needed. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can see the totals of what has been entered and what the original quantities were. And you can go in as many times as you need to add to your count, or in some cases to replace the capture. So if something was entered incorrectly or counted incorrectly, you can go and correct that. You can also, from this screen, export that into Excel and hand those Excel spreadsheets out to people to do their count. There is also a stock take import, which can be imported from your Excel spreadsheet. There are two methods of doing this. You can either copy and paste it into the grid, or you can do the import and it will paste the information into that grid. However, doing it through riteSCAN, in other words, scanning the items which go directly into SysPro, is way more efficient and way more accurate.
Yeah, so as she said, it's very much more accurate being able to provide a barcode scan to perform this advanced cycle count process. And there's some customers out there today that may use advanced cycle count However, they don't use riteSCAN. And there also may be customers out there that may be using riteSCAN today, but don't use advanced cycle count. And ultimately, the combination of these two systems working together, it's what's really going to increase your inventory accuracy in a very streamlined manner. So let's talk a little bit more about how we actually perform the physical cycle count in riteSCAN. So if you're a riteSCAN customer, what the operator is going to do is grab their handheld device and launch riteSCAN on the device. Then they're going to be prompted to enter their username and password. And then once they get in, the first thing they're going to do is select the stock take icon on the handheld device to begin the stock take or cycle count process. So to perform the cycle count, what they're going to do is begin by scanning the warehouse that they're going to perform the count on. Then if you're a multi-bin company, you're going to select the bin location that you're counting, as well as the stock code that you want to perform the count on. So then after the operator has counted all of the items for that stock code in that area, they're able to enter that quantity into the field. If it is a lot traceable item, they're also going to want to scan in the lot number that they're counting for that associated stock code. And if you use serial numbers in your warehouse, the operator is also going to be prompted to scan the serial number that's being counted in as well. So one of the other things that we like to talk about is the ability to change the unit of measure. You may say, I want to count these in cases because we actually capture this on a case basis. You're able to select the unit of measure that you want to perform the count in as well, which is a nice feature for operators to be able to differentiate that. One of the other things I like to talk a little bit about is the reference field. As you know, the reference field can be used for a number of different things. And what some customers are able to do in riteSCAN is they set up the system to automatically fill the reference field with riteSCAN as well as the username. And what this allows you to do is get traceability into SysPro to see exactly who's performed what specific accounts and then when they were updated into the SysPro system as well. So it's a nice add-on feature to just give you that visibility into what's going on out on the warehouse floor with these counting processes as well. So now that you got all the information required into the system, the next thing the operator is going to do is select post. Once they select post, it's going to send the data directly into SysPro into that cycle count process. So riteSCAN will display a post successful message to the user, and then they can go on and count the next item. Once all the counts are completed, the cycle count can then be reviewed in SysPro again and finishing the processes there.
Okay, so once the stock take has been completed, you can then go in and use your stock take confirmation. But first, before that is done, you need to print out your variance reports and make sure that you are happy with the results that you're getting. The stock take confirmation is, this is a new screen in SysPro 7. If there are any errors, they will be shown in the lower part of the screen, but the results will be shown in the upper part of your screen. So right there, you can scroll down and you can see the results. Sorry. Ryan, I've noticed that we have a number of customers using advanced cycle count, but not riteSCAN. And I think that using riteSCAN with the advanced cycle count would give them double benefits. So they would have the power of the two working together. And I think that would really improve accuracy and also the number of people that you need to do the count and the efficiency.
Yeah, and the benefit with advanced cycle count is you're starting to streamline that process. And cycle counting is increasing your inventory accuracy. If we're able to take that to the next level with a product like riteSCAN, we can now even increase that accuracy even more and streamline the efforts that it takes to get to that process with using barcodes and streamlining all of the manual processes that may revolve around stock take or cycle count processes that are using advanced cycle count as well. So definitely there can be a great add-on value with the combination of the two systems.
Okay, so once you've accepted the count, you can go in and check your variances, and you can do this by various selections. So it could be by warehouse, it could be by a range of stock codes, by product class, and at the top you see the summary of the information. In the lower pane, you get all the details. And this keeps all your history as well. So you can actually start seeing trends, whether your inventory accuracy is increasing or whether it's getting worse, and also which items need to be focused on. Once you've done that, you can push that into Excel just by pressing Control F8. So you could generate multiple Excel documents just by making different selections. What you can do with this then is to send those documents to the relevant people. For example, we have one customer who has people looking after specific product classes. So those people would get the Excel spreadsheet related to their product class. It could also be used to display how you're doing with your cycle counting and provide incentives to your workers. You can also create graphical displays, and as you can see, this looks like we are improving. We went down a little bit, and now we are getting much better with our cycle counting.
Perfect. So now that we've kind of seen how the cycle count process works, I'd like to spend a few more minutes also talking about what's new with riteSCAN, why manufacturers and distributors implement mobile warehouse solutions like riteSCAN, and specifically more why they choose CISPRO users trust riteSCAN. So riteSCAN is used worldwide by more than 1,400 users in about 10 countries in a variety of different industries such as food, biomedical, auto space, aerospace. There's many others out there as well. Some of our customers include Ideal Clamp, Loftness, Heartland Sweeteners, which are the makers of Splenda. So there's a number of different customers out there that are able to improve their operational efficiency through our product riteSCAN. So for example, Loftness, they're one of our customers that had a manual inventory stock take process. And what they did is they went out with 20 teams of 2, so 40 people, and it took them over 3 days to perform an annual stock take within their company. After implementing riteSCAN, they were actually able to reduce that down to 6 people using riteSCAN, and they were able to perform the stock take process within a day and a half, actually. So that's a drastic jump in being able to reduce that process. And that was only the first benefit of being able to use riteSCAN to perform that stock take. The second step of that process was being able to move to a cycle counting process because they finally got their inventory accuracy up high enough that their accounting would allow them to move to a cycle counting process versus this large time-consuming annual inventory. So there's lots of added benefits to having a product like riteSCAN. riteSCAN is also used in a variety of other processes within your operation. It's used in operations such as material issues for manufacturing, receiving and picking, as well as inventory movements, for example, warehouse transfers, things like that. So it can be really utilized within a number of different processes in your operations. So one of the latest enhancements to riteSCAN is the addition of pallet tracking. Pallet tracking is a riteSCAN feature that adds value above and beyond what's provided in CISPRO today, as you all may know. Pallet tracking also can be known as license plating, but really what it is a method used to group and manage inventory items at a pallet or some sort of common container level. Pallet tracking provides you with the ability to more easily and rapidly move those items in fewer scans just by grouping them onto those container levels and having a specific ID that you're able to scan and perform the transaction in one scan and move all of the stock codes on that pallet to whatever transaction you're performing within riteSCAN. We also like to talk to customers about where pallet tracking may be beneficial within their operations. So I like to begin with talking about the warehouse. In your warehouse, some of the questions we ask are, do you receive items onto pallets? Do you store mixed inventory items onto a single pallet? So that's, do you have pallets that are made up of multiple different stock codes? Also, do you move items in bulk transactions by pallet? So are you having forklift operators always moving pallets of material around your warehouse? So some of these examples of where the benefits can come in is being able to perform inventory transfers in a snap. It allows your operators to have a single scan and perform, for example, a warehouse transfer. They're also able to perform purchase order receipts by pallet. So if you're receiving items from a purchase order and you're receiving them onto either an existing pallet or creating a new pallet on the fly, you can do that within riteSCAN. So the second question we like to talk a little bit about is how will it fit in your manufacturing environment as well? So for example, for manufacturing, do you stage your raw materials for inventory for the manufacturing process, or WIP as we refer to it? Also, do you have operators that are going out and creating kits for production? So are they going out, finding all the materials for this run, putting it onto a pallet and staging that? And the final step is, do you receive finished goods on the pallets? So are you receiving finished goods and then managing them downstream from there? So what these examples are, being able to quickly find and track job issues. The picker is able to pick a list of materials to be issued to a job, then stage that pallet for WIP and directly issue that whole pallet to WIP at that time. Also being able to efficiently receive goods, finished goods onto pallets, which allows you to consume that pallet ID downstream in other operations such as sales order picking and things like that as well. So lots of added benefits to being able to streamline your operations with a utility like pallet tracking. So the next question we like to talk about is, why do SysPro users prefer riteSCAN? And really I like to talk about this very simply. riteSCAN wraps a solid architecture with smart, simple functionality, and also adding on to that responsive service and support. So better yet, as I mentioned earlier, riteSCAN is also very tightly integrated with SysPro, which is updated regularly to ensure ongoing uninterrupted SysPro compatibility to meet your changing needs within your operations as well. So for example, when you're updating ports or making the switch from SysPro 6.1 to 7, riteSCAN is going to be right there with you along the side, being able to keep up with the changes and constantly have a working platform. In a nutshell, I really like to sum riteSCAN up into 3 words. It's smart, it's simple, and it's seamless. And that's what people really like about our product.
Hey, Ryan.
Yep.
It's all right. I just want to do a reminder to everybody, get your click on the Q&A button and ask your questions. We got a few coming in, but at the end of this, we're going to handle all of them, and it's always a good informational time. So feel free to do that. Anyway, back to you.
Keep the questions coming. Yes, thanks, Mark. So with riteSCAN, really there's no need to wait to automate. We've got you covered. riteSCAN is a commercial package that works right out of the box. It easily drops into your operational processes, allowing you to streamline and automate some of those manual processes you may have in place today, and perform the transaction as close to where that transaction is actually happening out on the warehouse floor. So the other question we get a lot is, well, my operations may be custom to us, and riteSCAN can easily fit that need. So we're able to customize riteSCAN with plugins that will integrate directly into your workflows and meet your changing needs if needed as well. So riteSCAN really implements in a snap. It can be downloaded and installed within less than 2 hours. And when I say that, I truly mean it. We can have our product downloaded, installed, set up, and configured with SysPro in less than 2 hours, and train your users in less than 30 minutes to be up and running and testing with riteSCAN. So it's a very easy product to implement into your operations. So what's the ultimate goal? Warehouse automation can help sharpen your competitive edge. That's really why you're looking at a solution like riteSCAN. You're wanting to sharpen your competitive edge in the marketplace because of all the pressures for reducing costs and things like that. You got to find ways to improve efficiency. Labor and inventory are very expensive to companies. What riteSCAN does is we help reduce that. We help reduce your labor and your inventory costs as soon as you implement our product. Customers often retain ROI on our riteSCAN product within 12 months of implementation, as well as 98% inventory accuracy, which is a key to business success. So for example, one of our customers, SoloTube, they implemented riteSCAN and they estimated that they saved about 1,196 man hours in inventory transfers and about 166 man hours in receiving just during the first 12 months of implementation. That's reducing a lot of labor within your operations by automating some of these processes and really streamlining your efforts out in the warehouse. So when you're purchasing a warehouse automation system, you want to be investing into the future. And with riteSCAN, you're doing just that. We're constantly making enhancements to our product and looking for ways to better fit the needs of our customers through those types of enhancements. Some of the things that we've done just in the past year include pallet tracking, which is the one we talked about earlier, freight apportionment, auto increment scanning, which auto increment scanning I like to refer to as grocery style picking. So for example, in the PO receiving process, if you're receiving things in eaches and you want your operators to scan each barcode on each product to count what you're receiving in, riteSCAN is able to perform that process. We've also made enhancements to Smart Scan, as well as the addition of the receipt from inspection module into our product as well. So you may be asking this question, that's great, what did you do in the last year? But what's next on our product roadmap? We're really spending a lot of time developing several major enhancements to our sales order picking functionality to ultimately provide a pick, pack, and ship solution that completes the cycle from start to finish. We're creating functionality outside of SysPro to validate bins, lots, and serials that are being shipped on these orders, as well as allowing operators to perform the pick process more efficiently in a more effective way, because we know that time is money and we need to provide the most streamlined effort to provide that pick process. So in addition to that, we're also adding packing validation for orders that are being packed and shipped, which will then ultimately integrate into a shipping solution to complete the cycle. So we're also making additional enhancements to pallet tracking this year. As I discussed, we recently released it this last fall. So we're constantly making enhancements and listening to our customer feedback to identify new areas that we can take pallet tracking. For example, you'll be able to process orders to multiple pallets at the same time, or perform PO receipts onto multiple pallets per transaction. So if you're receiving a load in and you want to put, 10 items onto 10 different pallets, you're able to do that all within one process of a transaction in riteSCAN. We're also making enhancements around staging material. We've found a need from a lot of our customers to be able to provide a pick list for your job. Go pick those items and stage them onto a pallet, which is then ultimately staged for WIP. So we're trying to complete that process and make workflows around what your environment is incurring to provide validation to reduce errors within the warehouse process. So lots of new enhancements coming to our product. We are constantly listening for the next things that we can add into our product as well. And we look forward to a great future with creating all of these enhancements for our customers as well.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. And Sylvia, nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do some of the Q&A. So I've got a few questions here that the viewers have sent in. So we're just going to go through some of those if you guys don't mind. So does riteSCAN support 2D barcodes?
Yeah, so I can answer that one. Sorry, Sylvia. riteSCAN supports 1D, 2D barcodes. Heck, if you even wanted to get 3D, if you find that someday, we may support that. But 2D barcodes is really dependent on your hardware. So as long as your hardware is able to support scanning those 2D barcodes, which most of the hardware today is capable of scanning that, but you'll want to check your equipment and just verify that it can support 2D barcodes. And as long as your hardware can scan it into the product, riteSCAN can definitely accept that. And actually, tagging on to that, a lot of times 2D barcodes become very beneficial when you start using features of riteSCAN like Smart Scan, combining multiple components of data into one single barcode, just because that 2D barcode is much more efficient to handle the size capacity of all of the data you want to capture within that single barcode scan. So,
yeah, the second part of that question, another part to that question would be, can riteSCAN allow you to print labels?
Yeah, so part of that is being able to automate the label printing process. And the way that it works is riteSCAN integrates to all kinds of different third-party label printing solutions, such as Nice Label or Bartender, Easy Label. And what it does is we automate that process by pulling a riteSCAN output file. And then what that does is, as soon as your third-party bartending or printing software picks that up, it's going to automatically print that on each transaction that you have that set up for within riteSCAN, automating the label printing process in your operations.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Can pallets handle serial numbers and lots?
Yeah, so pallets are going to handle serial numbers and lots the same way that the system does today, if you're familiar with riteSCAN at all. It's going to capture the serial number and lot that's issued to the pallet. So when you're generating those pallets, you're going to set them up with the pallet or with the lot number or serial number on that specific pallet. And then as transactions occur to that pallet, it's going to make those movements occur specifically with those lot numbers, stock codes, serial combinations. So if you wanted to set up a pallet with multiple different lots on there, you'd be able to do that, and that movement would happen for each of those lot numbers as it's moving downstream.
Okay, so this isn't on here from the viewers, but I have a question because it always comes up when we talk to customers about this. Can you just speak about the devices?
Yeah, for riteSCAN?
Yeah.
So riteSCAN can be used on a number of different devices. If you guys are familiar with the handheld mobile computers, those are like the gun type of mobile computers. And a lot of times people are using that out in their warehouse facility. So it definitely works on there. There's a number of different platforms and OSs and things like that. And we're compatible, I would say, probably with 95% of them out there. But there's so many different combinations that you can use. It also works with Windows 7 or Windows devices. So for example, if you have a laptop, we have people with laptops and tethered barcode scanners that they set up on carts that go around their whole warehouse facility, and they use that with riteSCAN. There's also people that are using tablet devices. So they have tablets mounted on forklifts with a Bluetooth barcode scanner, for example, and they're doing all their transactions that way. So there's a number of different combinations of hardware that you can use, and riteSCAN is going to be compatible with those different types of environments.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Here's one on advanced cycle counting. So with the new enhancements, are they compatible with the older versions of CISPRO, specifically 6.1? I can answer that. No, the new enhancements are available for CISPRO 7. So anybody that's on the new version of CISPRO that has advanced cycle counting can get the new enhancements when they're available. And that should be sometime soon. Another question. For sales order picking, can a sales order be entered into scanner, part scanned as they are picked? Are they received from inventory live or show allocation to that sales order?
Could you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
For sales order picking, can a sales order be entered into scanner, parts scanned as they are picked? Are they received from inventory live or show allocation to that sales order?
Okay, I think I understand the question. So the sales order is still created in CISPRO. So we don't necessarily have a sales order entry module within riteSCAN, if I'm answering that correctly. However, so once that sales order is created within CISPRO, what riteSCAN is able to do is perform the pick process out on the warehouse. So for example, once that sales order is to be picked, riteSCAN can go, and so there's a few different methodologies for how they can use sales order picking. And riteSCAN can validate against what was on that sales order for the operator to go and pick. For example, if you use lots and bins, they're going to go validate against those lots and bins and pick those transactions. And they can ultimately update the order once all of the items have been picked successfully. They can update the status of the order within CISPRO at that time as well.
Okay, good. And to the viewer that asked that question, if that isn't specific enough or answer it properly for you, get a hold of your account manager for your market, and we'll get Ryan to answer that.
Yeah, we can definitely dive in. There's lots of different options. So
yeah, we can drill that down a little bit further for you. So here's another one that always comes up too with riteSCAN: SQL or ISAM specific?
So riteSCAN works with either environment of CISPRO. So if you're a CISAM company or a SQL company, riteSCAN is using the E.NET business objects. So it's going to have no problem with integrating to your CISPRO environment that you have set up. So not a problem either way.
Okay. Last question that's coming. If anybody else has questions, feel free to send them in. So here's the last one so far. That doesn't quite make sense. Let me see if I can paraphrase that. Oh, what module is pallet tracking available in with riteSCAN? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, that makes sense. I can answer that.
Sorry about that, whoever asked that.
Not a problem. So riteSCAN or pallet tracking is used in a number of different modules within riteSCAN. So for example, it can be used in the PO receiving process. It can be used within the job receipts process, job issues, sales order picking. I want to say the only module that it's not available in is the backflush module, as well as one other one, which I'm blanking on right now. But what happens with pallet tracking is we're able to streamline the process where the transaction occurs. So for example, if you're performing a PO receipt, you're going to want to receive those items directly onto a pallet as it's coming in your door. And riteSCAN is going to be able to allow you to use pallet tracking for those transactions, which can then be consumed downstream as well. Excuse me.
Mark, one thing we always seem to get from potential customers is, do we have references, from other customers? And yes, we do. I was just at Travis Industries last week talking to Dave Elkins, and they've been using cycle counting for about 6 months. And he said that they have dedicated people to doing the cycle count, and it is so much more efficient because the people understand what they need to do. And they've also found that they've had a significant reduction in errors. And one of the biggest advantages is that they can record the reason for inaccuracies. So for example, it was received incorrectly, or it was issued in the quantity issued was entered incorrectly into the system.
Yeah, that's great. It's always nice to have the customer testimonials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, I have one more question.
Yes.
Do people using the system have their suppliers have barcodes onto parts for incoming, or do receiving have to barcode label parts?
So I was actually just working with a customer on this exact question. And there's a few different ways that customers do it. If you have the ability to request from your supplier a barcode with the requirements around your specific materials, that's great. And if you can get those things incoming that way, that saves your operations one step in being able to streamline things. However, there is that limitation of sometimes people don't have control over that. And what you can do in the riteSCAN process is, as things are being received in, you can actually print your own internal labels at that time with your sort of credentials. So for example, if you're generating lot numbers as they're coming in the door, you can then print your own labels and label it for downstream use as well at that point. So there's a number of different ways you can do it. It's great if you can get your suppliers to do it. If you can't, it can be part of your automated process when receiving to generate your own labels as well that can be consumed downstream. So great question.
Okay, great. So I think that's it for the Q&A. So Ryan, could you advance that slide for me? And then I don't have to take control. Okay, so you're looking at the Advantage Plus modules that we have here at Phoenix Systems. I just wanted to mention that the advanced cycle counting is part of our Advantage Plus module suite, and you'll be hearing more about these in the future as well. So next slide. Perfect. That's so nice. So anyway, if any of you should have any further questions that may come up after this webinar or in either one of these solutions that we presented today, please feel free to contact your Phoenix Systems account manager for your market. I've also included Bruce Brufold's contact information here with RiteSoft. We work very closely with him, so you can feel free to contact him as well. I just want to, as a reminder, we have recorded this session. So if you would like a recording of it for future reference, please contact your account manager and we will be happy to send it out to you. And also, you can follow us on social media through Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So thanks, Ryan and Sylvia, for a great presentation. I hope the whole purpose of this was to show you what's new with both of these solutions, enhancement-wise, what the roadmap is going down the future, and also cover some of the basics. I hope we accomplished that for you. And I want to thank you all for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.